Good morning, respected principal ma'am. Good morning, respected principal ma'am, teachers, and my fellow teammates. Today, me and my teammates are going to present a symposium on international trade. But what exactly is international trade?
International trade comprises exports and imports of merchandise, goods. It is also called visible trade because goods are tangible. Items of visible trade include machinery, electronic goods, gold and silver, etc.
It may be mentioned here that mostly people think of international business as international trade, but this is not true.
No doubt, international trade has historically been an important component of international business, but of late, the scope of international business has substantially expanded.
The other equally important developments are increased foreign investments and overseas production of goods and services. All these activities form the part of international business.
Up next are Anushi Jain and Jia Chawla, who will tell us about advantages of international trade.
International trade offers several benefits to both nation and business firm. Benefits to nation are
International business helps a country to earn foreign exchange, which can be used to import capital goods, technology, etc., which are not available in the country or are relatively costlier if produced.
international trade facilitates international division of labor. Different countries are gifted by nature with different resources. Through international business, every country can specialize in the production of those products which it can produce most effectively and efficiently.
International business is a means for the economic development of the developing countries. A country can export its surplus output in order to meet growing demand. Scale of production is increased, leading to economic growth.
A country really has the capacity to produce everything required by citizens. Through international business, it can produce the products which it cannot produce and meet the shortages of essential commodities for domestic consumption. For example, India imports life saving drugs, petroleum, computer chips, etc. Thus, international business is helpful in improving living standards in a country.
International business leads to stabilization of prices of commodities throughout the world, which would not have been possible in the absence of international business. Benefits to firms are generally international business is more beneficial than domestic business. When the domestic prices are not satisfactory, business firms can earn more profits by selling their products in the dom- domestic business.
The firms who have surplus production capacity can plan overseas expansion. They can enjoy the benefits of a large scale production.
International business is a good option for the firms whose products start getting saturated in the local market. Such firms are considerably improve prospects of their growth by entering into the overseas market.
For the firms who are facing tough competition in the domestic market, international business seems to be the only way to increase sales and achieve growth.
The vision to become international comes from the urge to grow, the need to become more competitive, the need to diversify, and to gain strategic advantages of internationalization. That brings us to the end of advantages of international trade. Now, Anushka Mahajan would like to tell you about export trade.
Export trade. In international trade, export trade means selling goods and services produced in the country to other markets abroad. Let's discuss the objective, purpose, functions of export trade. A country may produce a commodity in such commodity that are more than its need. The country can sell its surplus output to the foreign countries. A country can earn a valuable foreign exchange through export. The amount of foreign exchange so earned can be utilized to import scarce capital goods like machinery, equipment, etc. The growth of export trade creates employment opportunity for a large number of people. Export trade improves mutual understanding and cooperation between nations. Now let's move on to the export procedure narrated by Gautam Keshav and Mohit.
Export procedure, receipt of inquiry and sending quotations. The prospective buyer, that is, importing firm of a product, sends an inquiry to different exporters requesting them to send information regarding price, quality, and terms and conditions for export of goods. The exporter sends a reply to the inquiry in the form of a quotation called pro forma invoice.
assessing importer's creditworthiness and securing a guarantee for payments. After receiving the order, the exporter makes necessary inquiries about the creditworthiness of the importer. To minimize such risk, the exporter may demand a letter of credit from the importer.
The export firm has to open a bank account in any bank authorized by the Reserve Bank of India and get an account number. The export firm needs to have the IEC number as it needs to be filled in various export-import documents. To get the IEC number, a firm has to apply to the Directorate General Foreign Trade, a regional import-export licensing authority, with documents such as exporter-importer profile, bank receipt for payment of fees to apply for IEC number, certificate from the banker on the prescribed form, two copies of photographs attested by the banker, detail of the non-resident interest, and declaration by the exporting firm that it will not be exporting the goods listed to caution list.
Registration with the ECGC is necessary in order to protect overseas payments from political and commercial risk. This registration also helps the export firm in getting financial assistance from commercial banks and other financial institutions.
After receiving the export license, the exporter approaches his banker for obtaining pre-shipment finance to undertake export production. Pre-shipment finance is the finance which the exporter needs to procure raw material and other components, processing and packaging of goods, and transportation of goods to the port of shipment.
In order to ensure that only good quality products are exported, the Indian government has passed Export Quality Control and Inspection Act 1963. The main purpose is to make mandatory inspection of certain categories of products. If goods fall under this category, the exporter needs to contact the Export Inspection Agency (EIA). If the goods conform to the prescribed specification, a certificate of inspection is issued. This certificate is to be submitted along with the other export documents at the time of exports.
Some importing countries provide tariff concessions or other exemptions to the goods coming from a particular country. In order to obtain such benefits, the importer may ask the exporter to send a certificate of origin. This certificate acts as a proof that the goods have actually been produced in the country from where these are exported.
The exporting firm applies to the shipping company for reservation of shipping space. It has to specify the type of goods to be exported, probable date of shipment, and the port of destination. The shipping company issues a document called the shipping order after accepting an application for shipment. A shipping order is a document containing an instruction to the captain of the ship that the specified goods, after their custom clearance at a designated port, be received on board. If the quantity of the exported goods is too large, then a full ship can be taken on freight. This agreement is called charter party.
The exporter then gets the good insured with an insurance company to protect against the risk of loss or damage of the goods due to perils of the sea during the transit.
After getting the customs clearance, the goods are then loaded on ship for which the captain of the ship or his mate issues a receipt to the port superintendent known as mate's receipt. A mate receipt is a receipt issued by the commanding officer of the ship when the cargo is loaded on board. This receipt contains the information regarding name of the vessel, berth, date of shipment, description of package, etc.
Mate's receipt is of two types. One is clean receipt and the other is foul receipt. If the captain of the ship or his mate is satisfied with the packaging of goods, he issues a clean receipt. On the other hand, if the packaging is unsatisfactory, then the captain of the ship or his mate makes a remark to that effect on the receipt. Such a receipt is known as foul receipt. The exporter or his agent should always try to get a clean receipt because the insurance company may not bear the liability for loss in case of a foul receipt.
After sending the goods, the exporter prepares as an invoice of the dispatched goods. The invoice contains information regarding the quantity of goods sent and the amount to be paid by the importer. The CNF agent gets it duly attested by the customs. These documents are then sent by the exporter through his banker. The exporter gives the instruction to his banker to hand over the documents to the importer only when the importer accepts the bill of exchange, which is also sent along with the above mentioned documents. Bill of exchange is a written instrument whereby the person issuing the instrument directs the other party to pay a specified amount to a certain person of the bearer of the instrument. Bill of exchange can be of two types.
Document against sight. In this case, documents are handed over to the importer only against payment. The moment the importer agrees to sign the signed draft, the relevant documents are delivered.
Document against acceptance, that is usage draft. In this case, documents are handed over to the importer when he accepts the bill of exchange and agrees to make payment on maturity. The exporter bank receives the payment from the importer's bank either immediately in case of a side draft or on maturity in case of a usance draft. Up next, Muskan, Vani, Arshia, Apurva, and Tisya tell us about import trade.
In international trade, import trade means buying of goods and services from another country. Countries are most likely to import goods that domestic industries cannot produce as efficiently or cheaply.
Now I would like to discuss the objectives, purpose and functions of import trade. To speed up industrialization, developing countries import scarce raw material, capital goods and advanced technology that is required for the rapid industrial development. To meet consumer demand, the goods which are in demand but are not available in the countries are imported. Goods in short supply are also imported to make up deficiency. For example, India is the pragmatic products to meet demands. To improve standard of living, import enable customers in the home country to enjoy a wide range of products of high quality. Their standard of living can be improved. To overcome famines, droughts, earthquakes, floods, and other natural calamities might create famines. During famines, a country import food grains and other essential commodities to prevent starvation. To ensure national defense, countries like India import defense equipment and its armed forces, navy, army, and air force. Such imports enable the country to ensure its sovereignty and internal integrity.
Let's talk about the import procedure.
The first step involved in importing goods is to gather information about the countries and the firms which can export the goods required by the importer. Importer can get such information from trade directories, trade associations, and organizations. The importer approaches the exporter with the help of a trade inquiry.
There are certain goods which can be imported freely, while in some cases obtaining a license is compulsory. The importer consults the export-import policy in order to know whether the goods that he wants to import are subjected to import licensing or not. The importer has to procure an importer license in case his goods can be imported only against a license. In India, it is mandatory for every importer export licensing authority to obtain an import export code IEC number. IEC number is required to be mentioned on most of the import documents.
After receiving the import license, if required, the importer has to arrange the foreign exchange, as payment for imports has to be made in the currency of exporting country. In India, all foreign exchange transactions are regulated and sanctioned by the Exchange Control Department of Reserve Bank of India. To obtain the sanction or release of foreign exchange or currency, importer has to make an application in a prescribed form along with a copy of import license to a bank authorized by RBI.
After obtaining the required foreign exchange, the importer places an import order or indent with the exporter for the supply of specified products. The import order contains information about price, quantity, quality, weight, size, insurance instructions, time of delivery, mode of payment, packaging, etc. An indent may be placed either directly with the exporter or through an intermediary or middleman called an indent house. An indent house is an import agent which imports goods on the behalf of importers. Indent house charge commissions for their services from importers.
Generally, the foreign exporter wants to be sure about the financial soundness of the importer. For this purpose, the importer sends a letter of credit to the exporter. A letter of a credit is a guaranteed issued by the importer's bank that it will honor payment up to a certain amount of export bills to the bank of the exporter. It must be noted that importer's bank issues letter of credit only when it is sure about the financial soundness of the importer.
The importer should make arrangements in advance to pay to the exporter on arrival of goods at the port. This enables the importer to avoid high penalties on the imported goods lying uncleared at the port for the want of payments. After loading goods on the ship, the exporter dispatches the shipment advice to the importer. This advice contains information regarding shipment of goods such as invoice number, bill of airway, bill of lading, number and date, name and description of goods and quantity, and number of the ship through which the goods are coming, etc.
After shipment of goods, the exporter hands over the various important documents like commercial invoice, bill of lading, packaging list, marine insurance policy, certificate of origin, etc. to his banker for their onward transmission to the importer. These documents are delivered to importer only when he accepts the bill of exchange, which is also sent along with the above mentioned documents.
Goods are shipped by the exporter as per the contract. The person in charge of the carrier informs the officer in charge at the dock or the airport about the arrival of the goods in importing country. He provides the document known as Import General Manifest. This document contains details of the imported goods. The unloading of the cargo takes place on the basis of this document.
Customs clearance and release of goods. In India, the delivery of imported goods can be taken only after customs clearance. Next is Vishal, who will describe foreign trade promotion.
Foreign trade promotion measures and schemes. Duties paid on export goods are therefore refunded to exporters on production of proof of export of these goods to the concerned authorities. Such refunds are called duty drawbacks. Some major duty drawbacks include refund of excise duties paid on goods meant for export, refund of custom duties paid on raw materials and machines imported for export production. The latter is also called a custom drawback. Goods meant for export purposes are not subject to sales tax. This benefit of exemption from income tax is available only to 100% export-oriented units and units set up in export processing zones or special economic zones for selected years. Export of services. Its objective is to boost the export of services. These houses are recognized on the basis of export performance of the service providers. They are referred to as Service Export House, International Service Export House, International Star Service Export House. Now we come to the next topic, which is international trade institutions and trade agreements, narrated by Garvit.
International trade institutions and trade agreements. They consider the three organizations, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, and the International Trade Organization as the three pillars of economic development of the world. The main objective of the ITO, as they could foresee at that time, was to promote and facilitate the international trade among the member countries by the overcoming various restrictions and discrimination. India was one of the founding members of these three international bodies. Now, Sthavir will tell us about the World Bank.
World Bank was a result of Bretton Woods Conference. It realized that by investing more and more in underdeveloped countries, especially in social sectors like health and education, it could bring about the needed social economic transformation of the developing countries. The World Bank is a group of 5 international organizations responsible for providing finance to different countries. Up next is Diksha, who will discuss about International Monetary Fund, also known as IMF.
The major idea underlying the setting up of IMF is to involve an orderly international monetary system, that is, facilitating a system of international payments and adjustments in exchange rates among international currencies. The major idea of IMF is to facilitate expansion of balanced growth of international trade and to contribute promotion and maintenance of high levels of employment and to assist in the establishment of a multilateral system of payments in respect of current transactions between members.
World Trade Organization and major agreements. One of the key achievements of GATT negotiations was the decision to set up a permanent institution for looking after the promotion of free and fair trade amongst nations. The GATT was transformed into the World Trade Organization with effect from 1 January 1995. Headquarters of WTA are situated at Geneva, Switzerland. Objectives of WTO: to ensure reduction of tariffs and other trade barriers imposed by different countries, to engage in such activities which improve the standards of living, create employment, increase income and effective demand, and facilitate higher production, to facilitate the optimal use of world's resources for sustainable development, to promote integrated and variable and durable trading system. Here is up next is Anushka Marsden, who will tell us about India-China trade relations.
The bilateral trade between India and China has grown fourfold in the past decade, but the trade was tighter, more in the favor of China. In 2013, China overtook UAE to become India's biggest trading partner. Presently, India is India's fourth biggest export destination, whereas the biggest import source. The trade figures between India and China witnessed a tremendous jump from USD 2.71 billion in 2001 to around 70 billion in 2016. Importantly, majority of the trade remained in the favor of China as it exported around 60.48 billion and imported around 9 billion during 2016. China shares in India total trade stood at around 11% during 2016. Further, its shares in India export rate stood at 3.7%, whereas its shares in India overall imports stood at 16% during the same period. Comparatively, the growth of India imports from China was lagged with respect to export. The trend in the trade depict gap for India expanding exposure over the years. Despite the rising presence of Chinese product in India, breakdown of India.
Now, this brings us to the end of our symposium. I would like to thank you all for your attention and interest in our symposium on international trade.
Participants, please remain in the meeting. Rest of you can leave it up. Only the participants, please remain in the meeting. Rest of you may leave. All the participants, you are required to turn your cameras on, beta. Just wait for a minute. Shruti ma'am and Aparna ma'am, can you please turn your cameras on? Shruti ma'am and Aparna ma'am, please turn your cameras on. Aryan, just move to the previous slide, beta. इससे पहले वाली बेटा, the last one. Just wait now. Aryan, move to the last slide, beta. Now come to the second slide, beta, where the concept of international business is mentioned. Third slide, move on. Move to the next slide, Aryan. Next slide, beta. After this, Yes, just do it now. Okay, children, thank you so much. You may leave the meeting now.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you, ma'am.